Hello. Thank you so much for joining me today. How you doing? Hold on. Wait right there. There we go. The most beautiful English village in the Cotswolds. The Cotswolds. Part 1. This looks fascinating to me. I mean, already right off the bat, this first frame just looks stunning. I don't know why I've never thought to look into the villages of the UK. It's a whole nother side to the UK that I really have no appreciation for. Like, I knew there were villages, I just didn't know they looked like this. This is stunning. Now, this channel is Memory Seekers. Check them out, link down below. I honestly don't know what the Cotswolds is. Regardless, maybe he'll tell me. I want to see more.
Show you some of the prettiest villages. In this video, we'll show you some of the prettiest villages, historical properties, and the oldest pub in England. Let's get started right here in Combe. We're in the Cotswolds.
How are those roofs still working like that? Like, those roofs look ancient. What are they made out of? I mean, American roofs only last, like, they last about 20 years. This is cool. Straight Lord of the Rings type vibes.
The Cotswolds is an expanse of sloping green hills and ancient picturesque towns and villages 2 hours west of London. It is designated an area of outstanding natural beauty, and its quintessentially English charm spans 6 counties, predominantly Gloucestershire and Oxfordshire.
Why does this just look so organic? The materials these buildings are made out of is so cool. And there's not a single advertisement. There's no plastic, no advertisement. It just feels so real.
The tiny village of Combe is our first stop, and it
has the greenery
been called the prettiest village in England. Fairy tale cottages, a parish church, and a few pubs adorn this sleepy village, frozen in time and unchanged since the 1600s. The honey-coloured limestone brickwork, synonymous.
What's to stop somebody from coming in here and saying, oh, we need to bulldoze that down and put up a hotel? How do you stop them?
With the Cotswolds, give a warming glow even on a cloudy day.
I guess the zoners just don't let them.
As with many villages, parking is restricted, and you'll need to use the free car park at the top of the village and walk down. Or try your luck with a few roadside spaces a little closer.
You're not allowed to bring a car in?
The focal point of the village, the 14th century medieval Market Cross monument, was sadly boarded up for repairs.
Or I guess you can bring it in. There's just very limited parking.
You might recognise this area as used in Steven Spielberg's 2010 film War Horse. Another notable movie filmed in the village was the
How tiny the doors are.
1967 hit Dr. Dolittle with Rex Harrison.
Dr. Dolittle, no kidding. Sorry, it took me a moment to register that. I'm kind of in awe
St.
at the
Andrew's
visuals.
Parish Church is a Grade 1 listed building, and typical of village churches built around the 13th century. The medieval clock is one of the oldest in the country.
We're just straight in a video game right now.
The building has been replaced or restored over the years to the same design, but the tower is still the original 15th century structure.
There's so much moss. That was cool.
The village takes its name from the 12th century castle, which stood about a quarter of a mile north of the village. Today there's nothing left of this structure.
We just don't have anything in America with this type of vibe.
If you're here during lunch, afternoon or evening, and a couple of pubs offer food and drink to a weary traveller, and in summer you can sit outside.
I'd feel like I was in a straight movie. I'd feel like people were cosplaying, like living here, like it's a movie set.
Walking down the hill to the river, you will pass the old rectory tea room and gift shop. Cream teas are available, but only if you pre-book.
Oh, they got the door that opens on the top.
With all of our locations, we'll put links in the description to help you. One of the classic and most photographed locations in the village is down on Water Lane and the weavers' cottages that hug the Bibury.
The roads are so tiny.
Back in the 15th century, weavers were deemed of high status for the felt work they accomplished on the cloth used in soldiers' uniforms. They could therefore pick prime property locations near rivers due to the water they needed as part of the fulling process. This used hot water and agitation to shrink the wool into felted garments. Apparently, one of the properties was home to the Blanket brothers, and it's believed
The Blanket brothers.
to be the birthplace of the blanket.
What? This place is that old they invented the freaking blanket. Thank you, Blanket brothers. How much does a house like this cost today?
Driving the country lanes can be an adventure. Stepping just off the main road, the narrow lanes can catch you out with oncoming traffic.
Bro, 2 little Fiats can barely fit through here. Imagine some American cars, some F-250s.
Or locals walking their dogs. So take care and drive slowly, especially if you're used to driving on the other side of the road.
Wow. Man, I can't believe kids are actually like walking to school and have this type of scenery. You realize how freaking cool this is? I just can't imagine that being your everyday scenery, landscape.
The
Beautiful.
19th century artist and craftsman William Morris called Bibury the most beautiful village in England when he visited it.
Bibury.
The village is known for its 17th century stone cottages with steeply pitched roofs and the famous Arlington Row weavers' cottages, which supplied cloth to the nearby Arlington Mill. Parking can be tricky here, with very few spaces in this chocolate box village developed long before the
20p for a go.
motor car.
That's hilarious. This is what Simon and Garfunkel were singing about. The bridge over troubled water. This is it. You know, I've never seen a bridge where I'm like, yes, that belongs in a song.
The US car manufacturer Henry Ford thought Arlington Row was an icon of England. On a trip to the Cotswolds, he
He'd be right.
tried to buy the entire row of houses to ship back to Michigan
He was also a Nazi.
so that he could include them in Greenfield Village Museum. Luckily for us, his bid was unsuccessful. He did, however, manage to purchase a Rose cottage in the 1930s from the village of Chedworth, so a small piece of the Cotswolds made its way to America.
What? That's crazy. I didn't know that. How rich was he in today's money? Just obscenely rich.
Bibury has provided the backdrop of blockbuster films including Stardust and Bridget Jones' Diary.
I can see why.
Walking in a loop along the pretty paths by the river, Arlington Mill appears. This is now a private residence, but once housed a museum with a collection of period costumes
Somebody lives there?
produced by the Arlington weavers that lived in the cottages we just showed you.
How do you get the moss to grow on the wall like that? I see that in some of these villages and stuff. I mean, I honestly haven't seen very many villages, but you know, I've seen images of this before. moss growing on the walls. It's just not something I see here in America.
Bibury should definitely not be missed on your Cotswolds tour.
Wow.
Burford
That's kind of an interesting juxtaposition, like the fancy cars in these super old historic villages.
is a small medieval town in West Oxfordshire and is often referred to as the southern gateway to the Cotswolds as people arrive from the east on the A40 from Oxford.
The sweet shop. That's where frickin' Oliver Twist went.
The long sloping high street is a mix of pretty cottages and ancient shops that have changed little since the Tudor times. There are numerous tea rooms, craft stores, pubs and antique shops aplenty to entice you. Don't miss out on the side streets which have charming cute stores to view.
Quite bustling. So iconic, the sweets shop. Corona.
The 15th century parish church of St John the Baptist is magnificent and well preserved. Work started back in the 12th century, originally funded by wealthy local farmers and merchants that had been successful in the local wool trade. They believed that making these donations would seal a place in heaven. A lengthy restoration of the church took place in the 1870s, bringing criticism from William Morris. The vicar at the time responded, "The church, sir, is mine, and if I choose to, I shall stand on my head in it." This inspired William Morris to establish the Society for the Protection of Ancient Buildings. The elaborate tomb of St Lawrence Tanfield and his wife can be viewed in the North Chapel. Tanfield was a prominent lawyer and politician who established a country seat in Burford in the 1580s. However, his reputation for corruption and harshness with tenants was remembered long after he died. The church has
Must have been a real dick.
some beautiful architecture and stained glass windows, and we highly recommend visiting on your walk around Burford. Next time, in part 2 of this video, we visit more stunning villages, a motor museum, the oldest pub in England, and the Folly Tower at Broadway.
Okay. Well, yeah, I guess go check out, because this is 5 years ago, so I'm sure that episode's out now. He said next time. Go check out Memory Seekers. That was freaking cool. I want to see more, to be honest. I am not done. I'm not satisfied. But for right now, I am done. Thank you for watching. I don't know why my camera is like dark. You know, it does that after it's been on for a long time. I'll see you guys next week. Have a great weekend. Goodbye.